Welcome to your main settings tab for your property. Let's walk through each category in each field so that way you know everything about this specific tab for your property. You'll see all these different sections are both collapsible and expandable. And within them are very important fields that are going to get pushed out to your units when you're live. So we want to make sure that we have the most accurate data here. Before we go through each of these sections, I'd like to call out at the top, you have this drop-down menu where you can go in between all different properties within Hostfully and make edits. Just be sure that you're scrolling down at the bottom and hitting save before you leave this page so all of your hard work doesn't get deleted. Next, we have a couple tabs up here that I'll cover at the end of the video. Let's start with property details. If you zoom in under property details here, I'm going to show you some handy tricks too. These little stars will indicate that this field is required before you can hit save. I'll also see that you have these little black info dots you can hover over that give great little tidbits on this property, as well as sometimes link to external help articles or useful videos to help redefine this field if you need further assistance. Property name or property type is how you can name this property type on different channels. So whether it's an igloo, a dome, a house, we have it all here. Make sure you select which best matches this rental. Internal property name is for your team really only. And this is what you guys call the property internally. It doesn't need to be your public description because that's going to be under the descriptions tab. So this can just be an internal name that you refer to this home as. Same with this thumbnail. This isn't going to show up under your property photos. This is internal usage and will show up on some invoicing and reports. So I recommend uploading a spotlight image for your property. Web link will auto-generate with your Hostfully direct booking URL for this specific property once you're live. You can manually override it if you're going to be utilizing your own direct booking website. And number of floors and property size are important to identify your space and the size that is going to be expected. Number of floors is just specific to your unit. So if you're in a 14-story high-rise, but your unit itself is 2 floors, you would put 2, not 14. And for property size, you can switch between metered squares or feet squared to identify the size of this unit. Next, let's take a look at the section for property address. This one's super easy. Just put in your address. The latitude and longitude will auto-populate depending on the address that you put in. Next, we're going to take a look at the capacity detail section. This is important for identifying bedrooms, bathrooms, and the general layout of your home. So you'll notice that I can't change the bedrooms from 6 or the bedroom count from 16 unless I click on this hyperlink. When I click on this, I can identify the different rooms and layout of this house. So yours might show with 0 to start, and then you identify the room by adding a room. So this is bedroom 1. I can indicate if it has a private bath or not, and if it has a king bed, and maybe we'll put a single bed. Next, I can add another room and bedroom number 2. And I can say that this is a king bed, add another bedroom, and so on and so forth. And you can keep adding them as you go. You'll see as you update this, it'll change these settings. So if I want 4 bedrooms, I can come back, add another bedroom, and indicate the beds here. And as soon as I hit apply, it's going to now say 4. Same with bathrooms. You can update this to match the bathrooms. Base, max, and extra guest fee. Base guest is what's included in your nightly rate. So my house includes 9 people in that base night rate. But my house can hold up to 12. So I can have it set like this, and I can now charge an additional per guest per night fee for those additional guests. So if I put 15 here and my base guest is 9, guests 10, 11, and 12 will be charged a $15 per guest per night fee. If you don't want to charge a fee, you can just make these 2 numbers match and no fee will be charged since there's no additional guest. Great, we're cruising. The next section is going to be your booking settings. So for your booking settings, we're going to go through each one of these. Your booking type is going to be for direct booking. You can learn more about those different settings by hovering over this info dot and clicking Learn More. I'll also include it in the resources below this video. Instant booking, booking request, or booking inquiry. Again, this is just for direct booking. We're going to get to the channel specific categories later. Your booking window is going to indicate how far in advance someone can book. Match this with your dynamic pricing if you're using one. So if Price Labs is only doing your pricing 12 months out, You'll want to match that so that way nobody can book outside of when you're doing pricing. Turnover days is how many nights do you need between stays for cleaning. Most people like to set this at 0 if your cleaner will allow it for same-day turnovers. Booking lead time is how much notice you need for a new booking. Negative numbers will allow last-minute same-day bookings. So if your check-in time is 4 p.m. and you put a negative 2-hour booking lead time, that means up until 6 p.m. the same day, somebody could find your house if it's available on those channels. Similarly, if you want a little bit more time, you can put like a 12-hour booking lead time, meaning you want at least a 12-hour notice before somebody is allowed to instant book your home. Only check in on. Only check in on is going to limit which days guests can check in. So you can come in here and set Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but maybe you don't want to allow check-ins on Sunday. Check-in time is in a globally friendly 24-hour format, meaning 15 is going to equal 3 p.m. Same with your checkout time. Minimum stay, maximum stay, and minimum weekend stay is how you can set some global settings for your minimum stay. Under your calendar, you can set seasonal or date-specific minimum or maximum night stays if you want to navigate that over your busy season or holidays where you want to allow or disallow certain nightly stays. If you're using a dynamic pricing tool, I recommend still setting these, but they will override them. So Price Labs will set your minimum and maximums and override what's in Hostfully. Percentage reservation and collect balance is an important one. I like to kind of make a quick note and stop here. When you connect with a property management software and you're already on Vrbo, just so you know, Vrbo will now change it so you are the merchant of record. You'll also be the merchant of record for any of our other smaller channels and direct booking, meaning you're responsible to process your payments and collect and remit your own taxes. Airbnb is going to continue to be the merchant of record, so they will continue to process your payments. That's why when you hover over the info dots for here, anything payment related will say that it's not going to go to Airbnb because Airbnb is still going to process the payments with the settings that you originally set up. With Vrbo or direct booking, because you're the merchant of record, you can pick how much you want to collect when the reservation is made and when you want to collect the remaining balance. So you can choose 100% and require 100% at reservation, or you could put 50% to require 50% at reservation and collect the remaining balance 14 days before the check-in. If anyone were to book 12 days before, they would be required to pay the full 100%. If you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out to our support on the bottom right corner. All right, let's take a look at miscellaneous info. Let's take a look at the miscellaneous info section. So your unique ID is going to auto-generate for internal use and integrations. External and accounting ID are optional for bookkeeping. Rental license is only required if you are responsible to collect and remit your taxes for Airbnb, or if you'd like to input it here just for internal usage. Wi-Fi network and password, let's get those put in for each of your properties, and you'll be thankful later on when you set up your templates and triggers because this will be a great variable that you can use for check-in instructions later. This next section is now only for Airbnb and only for this property. So it's property specific and channel specific. So you can go through here. Your IDs are going to generate once you go live. So that's why those fields are not editable. You can come in here and pick your listing type, your booking type. If you want to allow booking request above the maximum stay or outside of your booking lead time. So let's say you're instant booking, but if somebody wants to stay more than your minimum night stay or maximum stay, you can be booking request and still see if people would like to request those days. You can have different guest requirements, cancellation policies. There's a section here for check-in start time. Default is going to go to whatever you set earlier on at your booking settings for your check-in on time. You can change it to flexible. I just like to warn people that then on Airbnb, it will indicate that there is no check-in time and that you're flexible. Check-in end time is just saying that there's an end to that check-in time. So maybe you don't want to allow people checking in anytime after midnight or something, you would change that. In Airbnb, you can indicate how they're able to check in. So you can say that there's a lockbox, it's keyless, that the host checks you in. And you're also available to offer a promotion through Hostfully with a non-refundable rate. So you can disable it, or if you enable it, you can say that I will give you a 10% discount if you agree to not cancel. These are the Airbnb settings. For Booking.com, now let's take a look at our Booking.com section. The hotel, room ID, and status, again, will auto-populate once you go live. You can come in here and set the room type and room name. So depending on what you set for the room type will reflect the room name. If I change this to holiday home, you'll see these are all holiday home name options. Whereas if I change the setting to apartment, now all of these will be apartment name options. If you already are on Booking.com, you'll want to match this to what you have in Booking.com. If you aren't on Booking.com yet, but you're hoping to do so, try to set this as best as you can so that way we can take you live with all of your settings up to date. Primary contact, check-in method, just select how they would get in the home. This first one is the only one that is required for going live, and you're allowed to put an optional backup, or you can say, contact us for instructions. Additionally, you'll want to read through thoroughly and select the proper cancellation policy because Booking.com does have a few more options on the other channels that you'll want to read through. Next, we're going to take a look at the Vrbo settings. So property ID will populate once you go live. And again, you can set what type of booking you'd like to accept, request, or instant. You'll notice that option wasn't available in Booking.com, as Booking.com and Hostfully right now, we only support instant booking. Cancellation policies, whether you want to show your exact location or approximate. And if you're brand new to Vrbo, once you go live, you'll be able to enable or disable a new listing discount that will help promote and push your listing to the top. Also for Vrbo, I like to call out that they have always mentioned that the more laid back your cancellation policy is and showing the exact location, they do increase your searches on their algorithm and push you further to the top to increase your bookings. This is so if you have a more laid back cancellation policy, they'll promote your listing so if someone does cancel, you're more likely to get rebooked. That will conclude your Vrbo settings and all of these collapsible menu options for your main settings. A couple other quick notes on this tab, and that would apply to other tabs as well, is you'll notice that you have a bulk save option. So if I come in here and you see some of these fields, and most of them have this little tab here with a pen, indicating that this is available for bulk save. So if I want to save my minimum night stay to, let's say, 1 night, and I want to change that to all or some of my properties, I can scroll down here and hit bulk save. This is going to allow me to bulk save and it'll tell me what fields I've updated and the following field that'll be applied to all properties or some. So if I wanted to change all of these settings on all of my properties or select only a couple, I can hit save and now all of those settings will be changed to all of my properties. Last, but definitely not least, I want to go back to those icons at the top that I told you we'd circle back to at the end. Here we have this collapsible option here called custom data. If you're utilizing custom templates and triggers, you can come in here and edit your custom data. This is how people can identify property-specific things in their templates and triggers. You can click here on this calendar icon, and that's going to lead, you guessed it, directly to this property's specific calendar. You can also see this icon here. We'll click on guest experience, and that's going to lead you, if you are also utilizing Hostfully's guidebook, directly to the editable page and login for this property's guidebook. And this one here is for your check-in instructions. If you're going to be using Hostfully to automate your check-in instructions, so that way whenever a guest, X amount of days before a guest checks in, they want to receive check-in instructions, this is going to help you get property-specific check-in instructions. So if you click here, we're going to ignore the from, ignore the to, ignore the subject line. We're using this box here as a field that we can use later on under templates and triggers. So you want to put anything that's property specific. So if I'm under Barbie Dream House and the house is on the left-hand side of the road with a blue mailbox, maybe I'm using a static door code, or I want to indicate only 4 cars allowed in the driveway. you can come here and put all of your property specific check-in instructions, and you can put that data later on for your templates and triggers. And that's where that information lives. Don't forget that you always have the chat icon on the bottom right corner of any Hostfully screen if you need additional help with the settings tabs, or you can click on this little question mark on the top of your Hostfully page. It will take you to your help articles where you can search any specific questions. Okay, that's a wrap on property main settings. I know it was a lot, but you did it. We got through it all, and we have the most detailed tabs. So the rest of these tabs will likely feel like a breeze now that you understand what each field means. Take your time, audit every property carefully, and keep going because you're building the foundation for smooth bookings and happy guests across all of your channels once these settings are set. Thanks.